So I go roaring into Ross, Dress for Less, one of the premier Dress for Less stores in this entire country. And I say, what do you got for a man like me? And they look at each other, and they're nodding. They turn to me, and in unison, they say one word. Denim. And so begins the denim arc of Delayed. The very moment Nintendo announced they're going to have a Nintendo Direct this week, I knew that that would be the thing I would most want to talk about. And that has happened, right? I couldn't prepare a topic that would be more interesting to me than whatever shocks and surprises and tears would plop out from the Nintendo Direct today. And that's been the case. I just, as usual, it's got me feeling feelings. Because if you really think about it, for many of us, for myself at least, Nintendo is probably the longest and most complicated relationship I've ever had. And they say that a pillar for an intimate relationship, as it is communication. Tell Nintendo when they're doing great and when they're not doing great. And so for today's episode, we're playing a game. It's called I Appreciate That, I Don't Appreciate That. Kirby and the Forbidden Land. I appreciate that. Thank you. I've wanted a 3D Kirby ever since Mario could climb trees. Right? If Mario gets to be 3D, Kirby too, please. Kirby, let's get you in 3 dimensions. Granted, this is more like Super Mario 3D World 3D than Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury 3D. But still, hey, it's at least a big leap. So like when the Switch was new, I was feeling this energy like Nintendo's just going for it, man. Nintendo's in DGAF mode and they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants and they're trying things they wouldn't normally try. Mario's wearing a wedding dress. Why not? Breath of the Wild is just let's just go for it. Let's just do it. Let's just go for it. And I felt like when those two games were so close to each other, the launch of the Switch, I just felt like, wow, there's some energy here. And then there's just been like 5 years of Nintendo games being regular, what they've always been, Kirby included. Look at Kirby Star Allies. That's just Kirby being Kirby. So to have this game and like this weird abandoned, beautiful, a bit like it's like Chernobyl-esque, but still beautiful to look at. But Kirby's in a mall. Something dark happened here. It's a Kirby world with a mystery to it, but also a 3D. I'm so pumped for this. One additional thing I appreciate that I would like to call attention to is that this trailer demonstrates how fun it is to find secrets with powers in a Kirby game. That's always fun. And you don't see that a lot in trailers. A lot of trailers, here's our cutscene, here's our action. Not a lot of them are showing you discovering secrets, which I guess is, you only have a few seconds. I guess that's tough to do. Kirby, you pulled it off. Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. I don't appreciate that. No, thank you. So I feel like I should explain a lot here, just in case you're not up on what Nintendo Switch Online is. So, Nintendo Switch Online is basically PlayStation Plus, basically Xbox Live Gold. It's whatever you're paying to play online. If you want to play multiplayer online games, you gotta pay money to do it. With Nintendo Switch Online in particular, I like that it's always accompanied by these 5 images to clearly communicate what you get for the service, which is online play, NES games, cloud saves, a dumb app, and who knows? I think the question mark block truly represents savings, like special sales, but I would admit it does make the whole proposition a little more tantalizing. Anyway, Nintendo Switch Online is just a cheaper version of what PlayStation and Xbox do. Much cheaper. There's lots of different plans, but basically I'm paying $20 a year to play online games and also have access to those NES and SNES games. And that's the weird thing is that Nintendo has skated a long time off of NES and SNES, right? I gave them a year, right? Most people would be like, nah, they can only do this for a year. How about 3, baby? We're scraping, this is what we're playing this now. I'll find the B-roll later. I can't even remember why did I play this? I'm a Gooby boy, I'm a Gooby boy. This is the kind of game they're putting out on the service now. And again, it's cheaper. You can't expect the games that Xbox and PlayStation will give you for free when you're paying a third of what you'd be paying them. So to add value to this service, and to get more money from us in return, there's now an expansion pack, PACK. Not to be confused with expansion pack PAK. That was for the N64. Those things are not to be confused, but I think they are supposed to be confused. I think it's supposed to be nostalgic. Expansion pack. I got that for my N64 back when I played DK64. That's so cool. I'm so glad I can play 64 games now. It's like, are those free? No, this is an extra thing. It will be for an extra cost announced at a later date in October, but you will have, now, in addition to those 5 symbols, the expansion pack has 2 more symbols, an N64 and a Sega Genesis. And these are the games that'll be attached to those. It's just this interesting thing to me. It's like Peacock is a streaming service that has The Office and Friends. And Seinfeld? I didn't check. Okay, TV fans, I did my fact checking, and I got this very wrong. Friends is on HBO Max. Of course, that's where the Friends reunion was. Seinfeld was on Hulu, and October 1st is moving to Netflix. But you can't skate forever off Seinfeld and Friends and The Office. You eventually need new stuff. Paramount Plus can't skate forever off old episodes of Star Trek. They gotta make new Star Treks. So it's interesting to me how long Nintendo's been able to skate off this back catalog that frankly gets less interesting as it goes on. It gets less good. You're adding less value as you add more games to it somehow. So whatever this additional cost is, I'm going to be paying it. For sure I am. I mean, even if this wasn't my job, I'd be sure. N64 games? Even worse on top of that, though, are these 2 objects. If you do subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online, was that rhythmic? If you do subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online, you get the right to purchase these 2 controllers. And look, I don't like the N64 controller. I think that's a bad thing to put into your hands, but I still want that thing. I still want that object. And here's what's sinister about it. They found the perfect price. $50 US. I can't explain to you how this works psychologically, but that's the perfect number. That is the ceiling. Anything above that, $51 US, I would say, no, that's too much. 50? 50 is too much for a Genesis controller. I don't care if it's wireless. Bayonetta 3, I appreciate it. This is a game that was announced way too early. One of those. And you know, actually, this ties in. A few episodes ago, we talked about concept trailers. These kind of video game trailers that have no interest in showing you the video game. This Bayonetta 3, and in fact, actually most trailers Nintendo showed off today, almost everything but the Monster Hunter trailer really, has demonstrated what the game is. And so yeah, this game was announced way too early, but I'm happy they waited until now to just show, hey, this is the game. This is Bayonetta 3. And I like that this trailer didn't get bogged down by Bayonetta's boring story. It's like when Bayonetta gets serious, oh, that's not your strength. And this plays to its strength. They knew revealing what Bayonetta looks like now is an actual reveal. The trailer is edited that way, and that's actually smart. That is probably what most of the audience is wondering. What does Bayonetta look like now? And then we get through that, and we see some of the game, and then we see what's different in that we have city-sized monster fights now. And then there's the final reveal that the dumb, boring story is still there. Announcing the Mario movies cast. I don't appreciate it. There's something that was chilling about seeing Shigeru Miyamoto, one of the greatest video game creators to have ever existed, so excited, grinning ear to ear to rattle off a list of celebrities who will be doing voices for the Mario movie he is consulting on.
He's so cool.
Don't get me wrong here. Charlie Day as Luigi, I appreciate it. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, I double appreciate it. And I'm not even saying this was wrong. This was the right thing to do. This is when you get your tweets. You get more attention during this Nintendo Direct than you would have any Variety article or anything, and I realize that this is even, you're supposed to do this before trailers. That's just the biz. That's how you announce, this is the process through which you promote your films. All I'm saying is, it felt weird. it feels weird to like get excited about like the celebrities who will be doing the voices for this movie that we can't possibly care about yet because there's no even synopsis. Cranky Kong is in this though. I appreciate that. Using funeral music to promote Animal Crossing. I appreciate that. I'm listening to this music and I remember this feeling. This is absolutely no question what they play as you wander into a funeral. And I like it.
Since its launch in 2020, the Animal Crossing New Horizons game has been enjoyed by many players around the world.
2 new Mario Golf courses and characters released for free today. I appreciate that. Releasing new games today. Undetermined appreciation. Why I say that is, look, I love Shadow Drops just as much as anyone. I love a game just dropping before you even, but like, okay, so we got 2 games announced today and released today. The Castlevania Advance Collection and ActRaiser Renaissance. Those seem like big deals, not the hugest deals. They're not the hugest deals, obviously, but here's how they're announced.
Castlevania Advance Collection launches on Nintendo Switch later today. An almighty classic returns.
It just feels like zip, 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 zip. You know, so part of it is like, you're never gonna have a bigger audience on these games than during this Nintendo Direct, but at the same time, I wonder if the Nintendo Direct could just let it breathe for a second. Castlevania Advanced releasing today. Now, here's another pun. You know, the exact same COVID-19 disclaimers that still appear before every Direct. I'm still appreciating these. I feel like every TV show and movie should, like sports, should still have the like, hey man, COVID-19 is still happening, so like don't expect much. This image, I don't appreciate that. This persistent speck of dandruff, I do appreciate that. It's very humanizing. Chocobo GP, I appreciate this. I do think this is funny though.
Race as familiar Final Fantasy characters like Chocobo and Gilgamesh to be the first to cross the finish line.
So you got Final Fantasy, one of the longest running, most successful franchises in all of video games. And the second character you can come up with is Gilgamesh. And he looks like this. Surely just do a Moogle, just do a Cactuar. Why you gotta pick Gilgamesh? But maybe that's the joke. Maybe it is way over, maybe that was the intended humor behind that. Regardless, you can power slide as a black mage. That's perfect for me, thank you. Hey, this is another editing update from me. I realize this is not just any black mage. That's clearly Vivi. Same cuffs. Not only that, the cart he's driving here is based off of FF9 Cid in Oglop form. This bodes well. Okay, and at this point, I just realized Steiner is back there. Which just makes it crazier. They started with Gilgamesh. Splatoon 3, I appreciate this. Splatoon is such like it's an absolute, I don't enjoy this, but I appreciate this kind of thing. I'm so glad it exists. I'm so glad they're being so weird with it. Thank you, Splatoon 3. Hey, I appreciate this. How do I put this? I feel like Splatoon 3 is a more positive thing than Fortnite, you know? If I had a little 13-year-old kid who would rather play Splatoon 3 than Fortnite, it would warm my heart. Okay, so that was mostly positive. That was nice. I think a video can't only just be hot takes nonstop. Sometimes you gotta put some positivity out there, you know. Excuse my distraction. I am now exporting that part of the video to a USB drive. We need to make sure that Nintendo gets this message. So I have an envelope. We're gonna mail it to them. I don't think they watched the show. This is not a lick envelope. Sealed it up. Let me get a stamp on that. Okay. So we'll mail this out and then hopefully Nintendo gets back to me. As I said, it's important just to communicate. You know, if they're doing something you like, let them know. If they're not, just like with me, this is a relationship we have. If I'm doing something you hate, let me know. Unfortunately, I am dedicated to the denim. It is too late to change that. This is the denim arc. And that was delayed input for this week, actually. I'll be back next Thursday, hopefully at a normal time, unless another thing gets announced. It will be just a regular Thursday upload. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. The nice thing about denim jackets is they do have pockets in like on the belly. I'm rubbing my belly right now and you would have no idea. You're not gonna believe this. This is so cool, they already got back to me. I gotta open this right now. They got, yeah, NOA, Nintendo of America, got back to me. They must have watched my video. Okay, what are they gonna say? Dear Kyle Bossman, we don't know you. We have no idea who you are. That said, it seems like you are ignoring how fantastic and amazing Metroid Dread looks. FYI, fantastic and amazing are the two words most people use to describe this game, and most other good games. Why don't you? Despite appreciating, that was in quotation marks, despite appreciating most of our Direct, you never once mentioned Metroid Dread. We regret to inform you that, yes, we are hereby terminating our intimate relationship. Best wishes, Nintendo. Hey, Mom. It happened again. Yeah. Lots of snacks. Okay, drive safe. Love you. Snack time.